They recognize their, oh really? They recognize their root in the prayer, in the words, in the wording of the prayer, of the wording of the language. Like it is written in the Torah story of Isaac, just before he meets Rebekah. What does it say there? It says, Vayetze Yitzchak, and Isaac went out, lasuach, to converse, basodeh, in the field. Shetfilato hayta im siach hasadeh, in that his prayer was with the, and together with, the trees of the field. Shekol siach hasadeh, in that all the trees of the field, chazrei kocham, they conglomerated their powers, v'natnu otam, and they gifted them, betoch tefilato, within his prayer, shehi shorsham, because that is their roots. Their roots are in the language of the prayer. And furthermore, Rabbi Nachman says, hadavor shemegadel, it's not just the plant that has the power in terms of its medicine, but the aroma of the plant as well. You know, aromatherapy, we call it these days, eh? Hadavor shemegadel hatzmechim, that thing, the matter that that is the catalyst that moves the vegetation to actually grow and evolve and sprout, nikra matar, that energy behind all growth of plants and grasses and trees are called matar, mem tet resh. Rashet tevot, which is the acronym for mare ta'am re'ah, meaning revealing the flavor of aroma. Wa ikar hu hareach, because the main thing, the main aspect of the plant is its aroma. In what way? Ki ein haneshama nehenit, because in healing we don't just address the body, the way the ailment has manifested physically. We also want to address the way the spirit is affected or is affecting that which is showing itself as a malady, not a melody. So therefore you want to address the soul as well. So the medicine of the plant addresses the body, and the aroma of the plant keeps the alignment of the soul with the body in the process of the healing. The ikar hu hareach, because that's very important, the aroma. Ki ein haneshama nehenit, because the soul does not derive pleasure, ella, except mehareach, from the aroma. Kishi amru rabbeinu zichronom livracha, like our teachers of blessed memory taught us in the Tractate of Brachot, folio 43b. What did they say there? Ezehu davar she'haneshama nehenit mimenu. What is the thing in the world out of which the soul derives pleasure? Below haguf, but the body doesn't. That is the aroma. The aroma of a flower, of a plant, is something that the soul is receiving benefit from. The body does not get anything from it except through the filter of the neshama, of the soul. So that was a teaching of Rabbi Nachman in Likutei Moharan Tanina, chapter 1, paragraph 11. For God's sake. For those of you who want to look it up. See? So we talked about the different aspects of a plant, of a leaf, of a tree, of anything, of you and me, that we are comprised of these two aspects, these two dimensions. that which is the concealed part of the leaf and of you, and the bird that just shit on your windshield, and that which is the revealed part. So you see bird, but bird is not what it is. It is, in essence, what cannot be seen or felt or touched or accessed by you or me or anybody else. That's the difference between what the Kabbalists refer to as Chomer and Tzura. So Tzura is the revealed aspect, the form in which it takes. That's why we can look at each other, because we have nice tzuras. But the Chomer, the essence that's inside of us, hidden behind the facade of the veil that we wear, that's called the Chomer. That's the substance. That is the essence of it. So when you're using a leaf, a plant, a blade of grass, part of accessing or calling upon, conjuring that which is its mystery is letting go of the koach hamedameh, the power of similitude. In other words, not calling it what it is. It's no longer a plant, it's no longer a leaf, it's nothing. Nothing that you and I can possibly fathom. It is mystery. It has no definition. The more you let go of the definition of a thing, the more the thing will feel welcomed to define itself. Verstehst? So in separating the Chomer from the Tzura, the outside appearance from what is the essence and mystery of something, then the Gilui from the Satim, that is when it begins to reveal itself, just like in the teaching that we just had from Rabbi Nachman, that when we are praying, when we are davening in the field or with the leaf or your bowl of fruit or whatever you're using, that creation hooks into the root that it shares with the runes that form your prayer, with the letters that form your prayer, because each letter is a boundary. Each root, like he says elsewhere in Lukete Maran 64:3. What does he say there? He says, Hadibur hu hagevul shel kol hadvorim. Speech. When you speak the holy language, the Lashon HaKodesh, it becomes the boundary of all things. Ki higbil chachmato behaotiyot, because the Creator boundaried its wisdom, its intent for creation within the runes, within the otiyot, within the signals, the conjures that we call the alphabet. Sheotiyot elu hem gevul lazeh, that these letters shall be the boundary of this. The otiyot elu hem gevul lazeh, and these letters will be the boundary of that. You see, so everything is boundaried. See? So the question is not whether the properties of the oil of the plant, for example, or the bark, or whatever, are similar or different. The question is rather one of intent, rather of creating a venue, an atmosphere in that moment where you and the plant share consciously the same root. That's how you connect. The plant is not separate from you, and you're not separate from the plant. Ki Odom Eitz Hasoda steht in the Torah. What's the matter with you people? It says in the Torah, for the human being is the tree of the field. Daika, the Zohar says. Definitely, not just euphemistic. We are the tree of the field. We talked about that the very first day or the second day. I don't remember. I only work here. See? So we have to deal with Chomer and Tzura, leaf, bark, oil, whatever it might be. So if the oil of a particular leaf or bark has say, let's say the quality of calming, right? Then once the oil has been separated from its tsura, its outward definition, and you in your meditative state have let go of defining what it is, then which then allows the mystery to evolve, to emerge, to unfold from the leaf. See? So then what happens is, having lost its definition, lost its form, it now waits for you to become the form, to embody it. So the medicinal quality of plants, therefore, lose their potency and effectiveness very easily when we're not in balance with the plant, when we're not in balance with the earth. And they gain potency when we are. Rabbi Nachman talks about that too in Likutei Maharan number 277, Resh Ayin Zayin. Because plants, the Zohar reminds us, wield chochmos hagia, great wisdom, and are imbued with raw divine energies which make them very sensitive to what's going on in the world around them, or in your life if you're using it. So if you're not calm in the moment that you are applying the medicinal aspect of the plant, it will be like wearing your left shoe on your right foot. So this is why, like the Ketoret, for example, the sacred incense that our ancestors used in the ancient days, was very meticulously assembled and put together in ways that were kept secret, because when it was used wrongly, the effects were wrong. When the kavana was wrong, when the venue was wrong, then nothing would work. It wouldn't work in the same way. It lost its luster. It lost its everything. In fact, there was the Talmud recounts that there was a clan of the Kohanim, of the mediums. I don't like to use the word priests. So the clan of the mediums, the Kohanim, that were assigned, they were called the family of Avtinas. And the family of Avtinas, they were of the Levites. They were gifted with the secret of the proper intent and blending of the herbs. And a very specific blend that enabled the smoke that came out of the herbs when they were mixed correctly to go straight from earth to sky. So it was a transformative ritual of moving matter to spirit and spirit to matter. So the secret is in the blend, and no one else was able to do it, so that the smoke went straight up, no moving back and forth, no matter how windy it was, the smoke went straight up to the heavens. And that secret was in the hands of one family, the Avtinas family of the Levites, gifted with that. And during the Second Temple period, when the people wanted to use the Ketoret, like we did in the ancient times, the family of Avtinos began to pull back. They did not like the politics of the Second Temple. The Perushim, the Pharisees, the rabbis had already removed their Sanhedrin, the court, back in 23 CE, and because of the corruption. And so the family of Avtinas also refused to reveal any further to the Kohanim the secret of the blend, because they didn't trust that they would have the right intent. And they felt that it would be an abuse of these very precious herbs. The Talmud recounts how the ancient rabbis tried to, okay, you don't want to give it to the Kohanim, we don't want to be there either, but maybe teach it to us so we can have it in our studies and talk about it. How can we duplicate it? And the clan of Avtinas refused to even give it to their teachers. Well, some of the rabbis went to Alexandria, Egypt, where there were great wizards and herbal masters, and thought they would maybe be able to get them to replicate it. They brought the herbs to them and brought it to the Jewish community in Alexandria, which had been around since the first temple, by the way. And again, nobody was able to replicate it. They could not make the smoke rise as straight as a stick, to quote the Talmud. When the rabbis asked an elder from the clan why they refused to divulge the secret of their blend, he replied, "Because we know that the holy temple is destined to be destroyed, and we do not wish others to misuse the ritual or the powers of the sacred incense in worship, which is antithetical to its intent." Several decades later, Rabbi Akiva was told by his colleague, Rabbi Yishmael ben Luga, who was gathering herbs in the field one day, Rabbi Yishmael told him, alongside a young boy of the family of Avtinas. And he was watching the boy pick herbs. Maybe he can get the secret out of the boy by watching him pick herbs. And so Rabbi Yishmael kind of did his picking of plants for himself while eyeing the boy from the side. And then he suddenly saw the boy weep and then break out in laughter. So Rabbi Yishmael approached him and says, why did you cry? And the boy said, "I cried because of how great the honor once was accorded to my ancestors, now diminished since the fall of the temple." This was after the temple fell. Rabbi Yishmael then asked him, "Well, why did you then laugh?" And he replied, "I laughed when I was reminded that the Holy Blessed One shall one day restore this honor to us in the time to come." Rabbi Yishmael then asked him, "What reminded you of this?" Said the boy, "Well, the smoke raiser told me." Rabbi Yishmael grew excited. Yes, tell me more. And what is this smoke raiser? And the boy said, "It's a plant." And Rabbi Yishmael said, show it to me. "Which among these plants is it?" The boy shook his head and said, "We are sworn to secrecy about its identity, so I am not permitted to point it out to anyone whatsoever." Finally, the Talmud says, around that same period, an elder of the house of Avtinos approached Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, a great sage who was deeply trusted by all the peoples, and he handed him an ancient scroll. And the old man said to the rabbi, "This scroll has been handed down from ancestor to ancestor. I give it now into your hands. So be very careful with it, because therein are contained the secrets of the sacred incense blend." Rabbi Yochanan received it, and the man told him, "But do not ever open it until the right time." Rabbi Yochanan could not help it, and he opened it, and it crumbled to dust. That's in the tractate of Tosefta Yoma, if you want to look it up. Think I'm making this stuff up? What's the matter with you people? Right? Yep. Everyone is, wants to know the secret of the plants. To know the secret of a plant, you have to be in relationship with the plant. The plant has to trust you. The plant is a living being. It has a spirit. And the spirit, right? What does the Talmud say? Ein kol esav ve'esav she'ein bo ruach hamamun olav. There's not a single blade of grass that does not have a spirit that encourages it to grow.
Gershon, I have two questions. That's okay.
2 questions already. I didn't even say anything yet.
I know. May I ask them?
It's up to the other people. I'll just teach you.
One
Go
is,
ahead.
One is that people are using plants today, right, medicinally, psychedelically, to correct the imbalances in their own lives. Like, so they're a lot of times maybe they're not in a good place, quote unquote, in themselves, and looking to these plants to get there. How does that? I mean, does it? So if they have a good relationship with the plant, then that works. Meaning, or how does that work? And then my second.
I don't know. I mean, it's a two. Relationships are two-way. I mean, I have a relationship with with some stranger in the grocery store. Doesn't mean they have one with me. I could be nice to them and say, "Oh, you're nice person. Why don't you go ahead of me?" Right?
How do you know when you have a good relationship with the plant?
How do you know you have a good relationship with your woman, or your boyfriend, or your girlfriend? I mean, how you know? That's why all these things required not just going and doing things. It required meditative involvement with whatever you're doing. It meant taking the rock, if you're using a stone, and being with it and saying certain prayers wherein wherein the words in the prayer, especially if you're using certain prakim from Tehillim, awaken in the stone its connection to you, its a sense of commonality. Oh, this person is speaking about, singing about what I am and the root of where I come from, right? So you can say hallelujah, hallelujah. Right? And when you're saying prayers that are involving the beauties of nature and God as the root of it all, then it awakens, like Rabbi Nachman was teaching us, Bidvar Adonai. It awakens within the plant, the tree, the rock, whatever it is that's near you, a sense of camaraderie with you, because you and it are now expressing the same root, the same acknowledgement that all of you come from the same root. And then I can do something with you. Where are you from? What do you do for a living? What sign are you? What kind of movies do you like? Right? These are the questions the stone asks you. So this is why it's not just about going and taking the plant and using the plant. But that's like going to a doctor, and he comes in with his laptop. He looks at the laptop and doesn't even look at you and walks out. It's the same idea. You still get your prescription, right? But how deep does it go, and how well does it work? It could work a lot better if the doctor sits down with you and talks a little bit. How are the things at home? What's going on? How's your new baby? Your old baby? Whatever. How's your wife? How's your lover? How's your whatever's going on in your life? Then there's something much bigger that is happening between you and the one who is doing the healing. There's no difference with working with other beings of the planet who are also your doctors and your psychiatrists. So let's take a plant that makes you feel calm and makes you feel good about yourself. Okay, well, the question is, how deep do you want that healing to go? How deep do you want that calming to go? Well, that depends on how deep your relationship is. Like with a human being. Right? You can be in a relationship with somebody and just be platonic about it. Yeah. You don't get much and the other person doesn't get much, but it's comfortable. Or you can go deeper. The deeper the relationship that is established, the deeper the benefit that comes out of the plant, the rock, the dog, or your spouse.
what are we able to offer the plants in relationship? I mean, obviously we know what we're
Recognition, acknowledgement as being not what you are defining. Who the hell you think you are coming here to tell me what I am, the plant says. Look at that, this guy coming and calling me a leaf. What does he know? Leaf schmeef. I'm a lot more than a leaf. You know, just like you're a lot more than your name, I'm a lot more than my name. You know, that's why the great mystery of name, of the idea of name, you know, it's the uplifting and the downfalling of everything. When we get too caught up in the name of something, to the neglect of what it is. It's like we say Kaddish. Somebody dies, you say Kaddish. Hey, Shemay Rabba, may the great name be. What the hell does that have to do with my father who died, or my brother who died, or my whatever died? You know, what has Kaddish to do with somebody who died? Everything. You know why? Because it's all about a name. It's about the great name. See, there's a piece of the great name that just left. So what do I do when something is missing? I try to fill it. So I say, Kadash Shemei Rabbah. May the great name that just lost a little piece of it by the removal of this person from this menu of this earth be filled where it is now lacking. And in my life as well, and the life of the one who is lost. See, so name is a very powerful thing and a very deadly thing. He brought about the whole flood, the whole great flood, Noah's time. Then everybody began to call in the great name of Yud-He Vav-He. Really? And then the flood happens because everybody went crazy and committed violent acts against each other, and angels were coming down and doing it with your girlfriend? What's going on here? You know, it's chapter 6 of Genesis, a crazy chapter. You know, it starts out with, then did everybody call the name of Yahweh, Yoo-hoo! And then everything falls apart. So Rashi explains, because some people used it in a good way, and some people used it in a bad way. So name is a very dangerous thing. So we cannot just come and name something and look at something as what we, coming from where we are coming from, and in whatever state of being that we are seeing it in that way. The more we let go of the attempt to define creation, anything in creation, the more its power then feels welcome to be shared. The more we define it, the more we drive it away. Okay? So let's say the ayahuasca. Well, stop calling it. Don't give it a name. You know, give it a name, you know, just to talk about it. But when you're doing it, when you're doing anything, or when you're using the medicine of a plant, the oil of a plant, or the sap of a tree in healing, or a stone, it takes a meditative quality of going deep inside into the place of no name, into the place where there is only one name, and that's the Shemei Rabbah. That's the name that is the entire universe. The entire universe is the only name. That's it. There is no other name. All other names are koach hamadameh, power of similitude, which tricks us, which gets us thrown off balance because we get caught up in it. So naming something or naming somebody and calling that a leopard and that a jaguar and that a catamount and a king cat, that's fine, but not when you're going out to the movies with a lion. Then you can't call it a lion. If you want to be in a relationship with something, you don't look at it as that, right? I don't look at my wife as I don't, you know what her name is? Let me look it up. Oh yeah, Miriam. You know, when I look at her, I don't see Miriam. I see an incredible mystery, a miracle. Like, wow, you know, who is this person? You know, if I just say Miriam, I lose her. But if I say, wow, then she comes closer. So we have to be careful with name. Name is something that draws the one we call to us, but then we have to let it go. Then we have to let go of the conjure. The conjure is there to call, but after the calling, you have to let go. Otherwise, the barrier between who you are and what that is, your tsura, your outer form, and its outer form remains. When you let go of the form, which is name, and you just both bask, you and the plant are now basking meditatively or whatever way in the great name, in the great cosmic name, then the plant recognizes that you recognize that you share the same root. And that's what Rabbi Nachman said that the plant recognizes the Devar Adonai, that which spoke it into becoming is being mouthed by you. Wow. So you were spoken into becoming, it was spoken into becoming. And the tree, the plant, is something, like we said at the very beginning, very unique in that it was called into becoming before that which it needed was called into becoming. Before the sun, before the moon, before the stars. And Rabbi Nachman talks elsewhere about how the stars, the planets, in the celestials, what heavens and the skies, whatever they call out of outer space, are very important to the medicinal qualities of the plant. That everything is very much interwoven. And that's the idea of what it says in the book of Zechariah, in Zechariah, the great prophet Zechariah, whose words we sing after every service in the synagogue. Vayom hahu, vayom hahu, yiyeh Adonai echod, ushemo, ushemo, ushemo echod. In that day, the infinite all, Hawaya, shall be one with its name. For example, before the Kabbalistic way of doing something, or the shamanic Jewish way of doing something, when you're doing a ritual, you don't just go and do the ritual. You go, the Shem Yichud Kuchabrichu Shechinte. For the sake of the unification of the sacred wellspring with the Shekhinah, of creator, in other words, with creation, of that which spoke it into being and that which responded to that spoke by becoming. L'shem yichud kuchabrichu shchinte al yedei hahu, by way of this act that I'm about to do. Al yedei hahu. The Yahed Shem Yahe B'Wahe, to unify Yahe, that which called existence into becoming, B'Wahe, with that which then became out of that calling. B'Yehud Ashlim, in a complete unification. B'Dechilu u'B'Yechimu, in awe and in compassion. B'Yechimu u'B'Dechilu, in compassion and in awe. The great weave. We always say that little incantation before we do anything, so that we create a safe and effective venue, template, framework within which the taking of the medicine or whatever is going to be and feel camaraderie. We share roots. We share what was called into being. We're both created beings. But if I look at myself as the creator, the great healer, and the plant is my tool, the plant will say, tool schmool, you a fool. Yeah, I ain't gonna do nothing for you. Or maybe I'll do something just to get you off my back. Yeah. So yeah. It's so if people are going to do these things and they don't want to spend hours and days and years studying all the texts and all the books and everything, at least, get into that common ground with the being, with the plant. The plant is a being. It's a being. It's very different than us, because when you uproot us, we die. Right? Pesik resh de lo yamut, the Talmud says. You can't say to somebody, I didn't mean to kill him, I just wanted to cut off his head. Right? It doesn't work that with people. They had a good sense of humor back then. I didn't mean to kill him, I just wanted to cut off his head. I had no intention of murdering the guy. I only wanted his head on my living room wall. That he died in the process, it's not my business, not my intent. I'm innocent, Your Honor, right? So no, we can't. We're different. But the plant lives uprooted, because the plant doesn't need the root. The plant is more connected to spirit, because it was created, called into being far earlier than even the animals. Like the Talmud says, the animals are very close to spirit. That's why dogs can sense things, right? You can see things 5 miles away, or hear things going on in Oklahoma when they are in Ohio. A cat can sense an earthquake coming. They use service dogs, to sense a person having a heart attack or cancer. I mean, they have all these senses that we can't even fathom, because they are closer to the creation in the process of creation than we are. That's why Balaam's donkey could talk. Well, not just that. Of course, God enabled him to talk, gave him a quick, what do they call that? Stone, that language course. So, but what was not given to the donkey, that the donkey did on his own, was be able to see the angel that blocked Balaam's way. Balaam, the great prophet of Midian, the shaman of Midian, could not see the spirit, could not see the angel that had been sent to block his path. But his donkey could, because, like the Maharal explains, the 16th century Rabbi Yehuda Loew of Prague, the animal world is much closer to spirit, and they sense spirits. And that's why some animals can sense a spirit in a person's house or a person's room, the presence of a poltergeist or some other geist, right? So the same thing with a plant. The plant is even closer to spirit, having been created in the 3rd cycle, as opposed to the animals and humans who were created on the 6th cycle and 5th cycle. And so therefore, you can uproot all you want. They still have the power, because they don't need the root. The root is like their mother ship. They always remain rooted in a different way than we know, than we can understand. So you can uproot the plant, and it's still rooted, and you can keep it around for 1,000 years. Have you ever tried that? Have you ever gone out and in the spring and picked up the dry leaves that dried up for a whole 3-4 months in winter and crushed it? The aroma is still there. The plant is still potent, dried up and everything, right? Some people dry up roses for many, 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 many years, right? People keep etrogim in their refrigerators for many years. Of course, I wouldn't recommend it. So the plant has a complete life of its own. It is amazing. So we have like the Arava, we have the Azov, we have the Hadas, we have all these different kind of plants that we use in healings, specifically the Hadas, mostly the Hadas, the myrtle, because the myrtle lasts away from even water for eons. And I have Hadassah lying around for like 7, 8, 9 years, and I can still use it. The aroma is still there because the plant is not just alive based on its root. The plant is like a remote control. Doesn't need to be plugged in, kind of thing. That's the great power of the plant, because the plant is operating in a very spirit way. And our access to that energy of the plant, that is spirit, is contingent upon our connection to that same spirit energy. And that's why we say the Shem Yichud Kujav for the sake of the unification of all of it together. Then the plant and you become one team, a team that works together. Like Rabbi Nachman said. See? So people go out in the field, go out in the forest, in your backyard, in your fire escape, wherever you happen to have a plant, and you say certain prayers, maybe from the Psalms, Psalm 145, 148, where you talk about the sun and the moon and the trees and the grasses and the snowflakes, how everything is all part of the mystery, part of the great name, the Shemei Rabbah. And then everything becomes one name in that moment, one dimension that is shared by all. You and the plant become one. You have let go of it all because you don't have a name. It doesn't have a name. The names are gone. The facade is gone. The guise is gone. And there's you and this fellow being who, along with you, was called into becoming. And here you are together, the two of you, just the two of you. Me and my leaf. Oh, me and my staff on my rock, right? I'll try that at home. Yeah. So there's a lot to learn, a lot to understand about all this.
Can I share a comment? Is it all right?
You can make all the comments you want.
Well, something that helped me when I was studying, working a lot with plants, I took an herbalism course, basically, which may or may not carry weight depending on who you're talking to. But anyhow, spending a lot of time with plants, something that helped me kind of conceptualize and feel and experience what you're talking about, this sort of ongoing communion. Mm-hmm. For me, the plant that I was working with at the time is rosemary. Mm-hmm. And I started to recognize it's sort of like this obvious thing finally went off in my mind that, it's not this one rosemary plant that I have. Granted, I may have a great relationship. There was one rosemary plant that I would walk to almost every day. And it was a really wonderful thing for me. And I loved that plant. That said, there is rosemary all over the place. I'm in Texas. That was in Houston. I'm in Austin. I joke and I say it's the national plant of Austin. It's everywhere. But sort of it helped me think about what you're saying, I guess, or understand it. It's like there's not just this one plant. There's rosemary all over the place, and this energy of this family, not like this tribe. And then you think rosemary is one of a family of plants, right? It's
beautifully said. Wow, I like that.
And yeah, and once sort of, and at the same rate, one plant may be a little different than the other, just like I'm different than one of each of you, but we're humans.
That's right.
Yeah.
Very good. Well said. Well said. I like that the concept and the term of tribes, tribe of plants, different tribes of plants. Yeah, very well. Very good, because they each have their own very unique way of responding to us, of responding to us, and you say the rosemaries of Texas, for example. Rabbi Nachman talks about how every land, every region of different environments have their specific song that the plants growing in that region have. It's their song. And he talks about how when Jacob told the boys to go and take some of the growth of the land with them when they went to Egypt to see brother Joe, little Joe, right? So he said to them, Kach mizimrat haaretz, take from the song of the land. So Rabbi Nachman says, Kishe et bonav aseret hashvatim leYosef, sholach imohem nigun shel Eretz Yisrael. When Jacob sent them to Joseph, he said he bid them to take with them the melody, the song of the land. Like it says, Kechu mizimrat haaretz biklechem. In Genesis 43, take from the growth of the land within your pots and pans when you go there. And Rashi there says that talks about, that means the song of the land. Ki kol ro'eh v'ro'eh yesh lo nigun. Every shepherd of every region of the world has a particular chant, lefi ho'asavim, that is based on what kind of the grasses of that area. Ulefi hamakom shehu ro'eh sham, and based on the specific place where they are shepherding their sheep. Ki kol behemo yeshla esev meyuchad, because every single animal has a particular grass, particular species that it speaks to them more than any other, shehitzricha lochlo, that it needs, that animal needs for its nourishment. Gam eino ro'eh tamid hamakom echad. Lefi ha'asavim hamakom shero'eh sham. And same thing, shepherds are taking their flock to different areas because the animals know which plants that they need at particular times. They call Esav Yeshlo Shira, and every blade of grass, every plant has its own song. She'omer zebechem blah 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 blah. Naseh nigan shel haroeh, and the song of that plant becomes the chant of the shepherd. You know, and so yeah, this is another aspect also, by the way. Like I always open up the teaching with a chant, because chanting is it's a very important and powerful part of this work in general in our tradition. You know, our old sages from way back, thousands of years and yesteryear, everything was chant. We sang all the time, with words, without words, because the chanting is a journey. Rabbi Nachman talks about that elsewhere as well. You know, so when you go up with the octaves that go up, you're going up into the realms that are beyond. When your octaves come down, you're going deep into the earth realm and in between realms. And that's why many of the chants that come out of the Jewish shamanic tradition, like from Eliyahu Baal Hashem, Adam Baal Hashem, Yisrael Baal Hashem, the different sages of those kinds of wisdoms, always had three parts to it. You know, so chanting is also important. Singing to the plant, to the rosemary of Texas, you know, to the daffodils. You're walking by in your botanical garden or in the forest, and you see some beautiful plant. It is drawing your attention. It is saying to you, "Hey, come over here. What's the matter with you? I want to have a word with you. You know, come and sing to me." Are you a fellow being, or are you a hoity-toity separate being who looks at me as an it as opposed to a thou? You know, that's what every tree and every plant that we pass by is asking us. Every cow we pass by is looking at us and saying, "Are you one of mine? You one of mine, or are you one of them over there, the hoity-toity ones?" So yeah, it's very much about a relationship. Yep. If you if you want their medicine, and they have a lot to offer, whether a plant, a stone, an animal, if you want their medicine, you have to engage them in not from where you are coming from as human, but to meet them where they are. And that means don't come to me with your assumption of what I am. Lose it. Leave your sandals at the door and come to me completely open to my world. It's like Rabbi Yehuda Loew said, and I will end with this. Rabbi Yehuda Loew of Prague, Maharal, the great maker of the Golem of Prague. So he taught like this. He said, what does it mean really in Genesis? On this day, this was created, and that day, that was created. Come on, folks. We know damn well that there were no days yet until the fourth day when the sun and the moon were here. So what is this day, this and day, that, and then the trees on this day, the creeping crawlies on this day, and the fish and the blades on this day? What is that all about? So he says, it's to remind us humans who think we're everything, that every segment, every aspect of beings in the created world is in itself a universe in its own right. So that when you walk through the woods of trees, the forest of trees, you are no longer walking in your human world where there happen to be trees. He writes, but you are walking in the tree world. A world was created that was only tree. A world was created that was only fish and birds. A world was created where there was only animals and creeping crawlies. And you were created in that world, not your own, to connect you to the fact that each of these are universes in their own right. And to engage those universes, to visit them, you have to go by their rules. And you feel that when you walk in the woods by yourself. And it gets darker. It's no longer your time, boys and girls. It's the time of the creeping crawlies, the lions and the tigers and the bears. And the trees no longer look so friendly, do they? It's their time. It's their world. You better stay out of it, unless you come to visit on their terms. Good night.
Good night. Good night, everybody.
Thank you for organizing, Yehuda.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Laila Tov. Shalom,
Thank you.
shalom.
Hello, Joe.
I hope we continue somehow. Thank you.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining.